Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
So we were recently lucky enough to check out a screener for the new film 8 Found Dead, and we think our listeners are going to love it. With us to discuss it is director Travis Greene and writer Jonathan Buchanan. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Hello.
Yes, absolutely. Appreciate you guys coming on. Yeah. Now, both of you come from some interesting backgrounds. Travis, I know you've worked as an editor quite a bit, and Jonathan, you've had a lot of experience on kind of the art and prop side. Can you guys both tell us just a little bit about your backgrounds before we get into the movie?
Sure. And just to be clear, you guys have seen the movie.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
and we loved it.
We loved it. Yeah. Even right before you got on, we were telling Jonathan how much we loved it, but we said we'll repeat it again though, just so the listeners can hear it.
Yeah, it's tough to talk about the film if you've only seen the trailer, because some of the criticisms I've seen online when the trailer drops is like, well, thanks for showing us the whole movie. And I want to just get on there and respond and be like, it's not the whole movie. There's stuff you haven't seen. It's a trailer. But to answer your question, I started off as a PA in December 2001, and then moved my way into post-production and editing around 2002. And I was working in the unscripted docu space, and that kind of informed my non-linear approach to storytelling. I became a lead editor around 2009, and at that time I was starting to get tired of like network notes and wanted to kind of make my own stuff. And having that bank or that wealth of knowledge that post and editorial gives you, I applied that to a bunch of short films, and was trying to make a short film one a year for the past decade, and did that successfully. I'd cut my teeth in a lot of like 48-hour film festivals and did kind of well in that here in Los Angeles, and that really helped me be able to think on my feet quickly and problem solve and kind of rally troops and kind of figure out story quick and tell it in a short manner of time, which helped greatly on this film because it was an expedited film shoot. Around 2019, I made probably my most important film to me, which is called 10 Essentials, and that was the first time where I really felt comfortable in my own skin as a storyteller and as a filmmaker. And then kind of that segued into the biggest project that I've done to date, which is 8 Found Dead, and my friend Jonathan Buchanan and I linked up in a pandemic, and we're like, we're not doing anything, let's make a movie. There's more to that story, but that's the elevator pitch.
I got into filmmaking in Chicago. I went to a co-op called Chicago Filmmakers, and I took writing and production. We shot a short on 16, and learned to edit film. And then I moved out here, probably the dream of being an editor, like most people you see on any crew. And I just got sucked into art department because that paid okay, and I had a little bit of a background in it. And then I got sucked into props, and I've been a union prop master since 2007.
I've got a buddy that's does props and art department stuff here in Wilmington, because as you know, we had a booming film industry. It kind of died out for a little bit, and then it came back. But I've got quite a few friends that are in the industry over here.
I just finished editing a horror film that was shot in, I'm going to butcher it, Tryon, North Carolina, on the border of South Carolina. Yeah. Called Are You There? That's coming in 2024.
It seems like it's kind of weird. It's like Wilmington all of a sudden became a horror film mecca. Like we had Halloween Kills and Scream 6 and the Black.
You have
Phone.
that big festival out there, right? What's the big North Carolina festival?
If you hadn't put me on the spot, I probably could have told you. But I know what you're talking about.
Is it McBride, Danny McBride, and those guys responsible for a lot of that action down there?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, Tim's got actually some connection to some horror history out there, because it was Maximum Overdrive was actually what was it, your grandfather's place?
The diner at the end of Maximum Overdrive, where the kid shoots the drive-through up at the very, very end of the film, was my granddad's diner. So I got to watch them film that when I was a kid. about 8 years
Wow.
old. So
Is Kevin Williamson from North Carolina?
yes, yeah.
It was funny, Travis, when you said that 48-hour film. That's really big here in the Bay Area, from what I understand. Because I have my sister-in-law does stage acting as well, but she's has a bunch of friends in the film industry, and she said they do a lot of that 48-hour film stuff around here too. So that's, from what I understand, that's like a really good challenge for people, because it kind of gives you like, I mean, you have to like just make these decisions, boom, and whatever you get, you get. But
I think LA's been doing it for maybe 24, 25 years. And about 6 or 7 years ago, they started doing the holiday version. And the holiday version could be either Christmas or horror films. So I
oh,
made a
cool.
Christmas horror film. I like, it was pretty popular, that festival, or like the genre specific themed 48. So they're a great exercise to just kind of get out there, make something. Also, I like the fact that, like, if the film sucks, you can be like, hey man, 48 hours, I made it in
Yeah.
48 hours, you know what I mean?
Like, what do you
Exactly,
expect
yeah.
in 2 days, Oh, that's awesome. So let's of course get right into to your latest film here with Eight Found Dead, which we absolutely love, Tim and I. In fact, it was like I got it and I looked at the premise. I'm like, oh, this will be interesting, but I did not expect how much it was going to blow us away. We were both like, I mean, I watched it. I'm like, Tim, did you watch this yet? You got to see it, because I knew Tim is going to be right up his alley. So really, I just want to reiterate again how much we love this. So I guess this question is kind of more for Jonathan. But I guess when you were writing this, did it's told from 4 points of view, and it's pretty much known in the description and the synopsis on that. But was that part of the nonlinear style, part of the script right from the beginning, or did that come after the fact?
No, that came early on. We just wanted to do something contained, so the one location came up right away. But then I was writing the first draft, and I had this thing where they were gonna like hit a deer or almost hit a deer, and then I had this edit where it was like, then somebody else was going to hit somebody, and I thought, oh, that's cool, like we can shift to the other story with with this cool cut or whatever. And the deer went away and all that stuff, but then came the idea of transitioning to the different storylines, and we came up with the idea of like using doors and going in and out of entrances, opening things to transition to the different couples, the different stories.
Yeah, that's cool. I definitely one thing I want to ask you, but I'll ask you after, because it's a bit of a spoiler on it. But definitely want to remember. But yeah, I think that was what's so cool about that, is that you did, like, it was almost as obvious as it was that you were switching to a different story. The transition seemed very seamless, and they seemed appropriate. I thought that was really cool how you guys did that.
I mean, we wrote some of those in, and then Travis and I discovered a bunch more, and we added those to the script. And then he discovered more in the directing, and then even more stuff came out in the edit. So it was like, it was going to be cool, and then it just kept getting better and better and just worked better. By the end, it was awesome.
It was based on the fact that the film didn't have the biggest budget, and Jonathan said that he could make something economical in one space. Then he added 10 characters and was like, oh, that's not economical. But we made it work. And the fact that he added 10 characters actually is what we hang our laurels on with this film, is the fact that it's kind of, it's not Altman-esque, but it's these 4 intersecting stories that we tell you just enough, give you just enough when you need it to keep you invested and kind of on the edge of your seat. And it took a simple story and made it a little more complex.
Yeah, that was actually that really takes some talent, because you actually had, like, they were like little bits of story going on, and the fact that you were switching around, and the fact that as an audience I still understood exactly what was going on. Like, you didn't forget a plot point. Like, nothing was left dangling to the point where you're like, oh wait, what's going on again with it? I don't know if it was just the cuts of it or the way it was written.
That's a testament. That's the testament to the Dog and Pony show that John was alluding to, which was, I think he mentioned that, but like, he took these 3x5 colored index cards, and before, I think he had a draft of the script, and he kind of laid out the index cards to match the script, and each color denoted a couple in the film and kind of their entire arc. So he was able to show me this card, this green one goes all the way to here, this yellow one goes to here. And it was easy for me in my nonlinear brain to kind of grasp that idea of how we can kind of sustain or suspend the drama and just draw it out. Like literally one of the first notes that we got in a rough cut, and I'm so glad that Jonathan and I stuck to our guns and we're like, no, we shot the film the way that it's edited. It was not like we had to do this big piecing. Like the way that Jonathan wrote it was how it was basically, yeah, we could fine tune some nuances or finesse some transitions, but the way that it was written was the way that it was shot. So we couldn't unfold or unpack the story and tell it in a linear way, or else we just didn't have enough content or footage. We'd probably make the longest short horror film ever, and it would just be every other premise that you've seen, you know.
So kind of stepping back a little bit and without giving any spoilers, Jonathan, where was there something that planted the seed for this idea, like from a high level, again, without giving out too many details? Did you have any bad Airbnb experiences or?
Travis can take this one. He's got the story.
Okay.
I've said this one a lot. Basically, I sold my house to make this film in July of 2020, and I had nowhere to go after I had sold the house. So I decided to Airbnb to pick an area in LA that I might want to settle down in one day. And first stop was the desert. I had always wanted to live in like Joshua Tree or Palm Springs. I ended up finding a really nice, cheap ranch in 29 Palms. And 29 Palms is neither Joshua Tree nor Palm Springs at all. It's pretty scary and desolate and terrifying if you're by yourself in this, sprawling 25-acre ranch with just you and your little poodle dog. And I was staying in this ranch, and it was scary at night. I would hear things, and I would, I started getting this idea about, what would happen if you showed up here at this Airbnb and like someone was already living here? Like there's nothing I could do. There was no one I could call. Like it's so remote. Lack of cell phone service is actually a thing. And
I like that you include that. Tim and I always say that we're like, you got to get around that technology thing in horror movies. I didn't mean to cut you off, but just I didn't want to forget that, because we're saying it's like, okay, nowadays it's like everyone has a cell phone. So like, how do you take that out of the equation? Because that was back in the 80s, so
that actually came up during rehearsal. We had kind of written ourselves into a corner, and we're like, crap, how do we get out of the technology cell phone service thing? And I go, well, Jonathan, at this ranch, literally once you encroach the driveway or encroach the house and you're on the driveway, you lose all signal. You can't get a hold of anyone. So that was also precarious for like logistical technical reasons for the crew. We had to depend on walkies and radios because you couldn't call and say, I'm here, or where do I go? Like once you get off the grid, you're off the grid, which is great for a horror film premise, but not for actually pulling off the making of a horror film. I was going to say the actual house that I stayed at, I asked the owners, I said, this is a beautiful house. Can I, with your permission, I've got this idea. Can we shoot a horror film in here? Like, we'll rent out your other properties. They're like, well, you wouldn't be the first. And actually in 2018, a film called Head Count can be seen.
Wow. Oh, okay.
In this film.
Yeah, we have I have someone in the family. They live in Ossining, New York, and their house is like this really old house that they kind of, they added some modern amenities to it, of course. And that's been in it was in that Robert De Niro movie, Hide and Seek, the one, and then it was on, I think, an episode of The Blacklist. So their house, everyone thinks is so cool in their property, so they were always getting approached like that. So
it's
if you ever need a horror movie
scary.
in Ossining, New York, let me know. I'll put you in touch.
What's the city? I will.
Ossining, New York.
I'm taking note of that.
Actually, this one's to you, Travis. So we've had directors come on before with editing experience, and it seems like that's kind of a valuable lesson. So can you talk a bit about how your editing background like influenced the directing? Like, did you edit in your head the entire time, or do you just kind of separate it for now and say, okay, I'm putting on my director's hat now and that's it?
No, I think it's very fluid. I think writing, directing, and editing is all the same thing. It's all writing or creation, right? And editing did sharpen my directing skills. The way that I organize, the way that I group footage or ideas together really helps me see something. Like when Jonathan put together a really well-written script in front of me, I can see it. It's like popping off in my head and shouting. So then I take those ideas, I storyboard, and I use a 3D modeling program called FrameForge to start to beat out the script and kind of lay down, a shot list. And on this one, I wanted to use a jib because I had used a jib on my previous film, as was just a short film, a 10-page monologue, also out in the desert, and I was able to shoot 10 pages in like 4.5 hours, 6 hours, something like that, something ridiculous. So when Jonathan came to me with like an 80-page script, I was like, we can do that in 7 days, and we can do that with a jib. But turns out the jib didn't quite fit inside this house. I was given slightly incorrect measurements, and so it only fit in certain portions or areas or at certain angles of the house. We used it to great effect outside, but inside, my storyboard shot list kind of went bye-bye, and I had to depend on a lot of like in the moment kind of what feels natural, what feels like cinema verite handheld camera work. And that's where our cinematographer Ryan Valdez was crucial and integral, because Ryan was with John and I every step of the way during the rehearsal process. So he knew the characters, he knew the script, he knew the vibe as well, if not better than we did. And he was able to really articulate or kind of visually represent John's script with his handheld work as like a fifth character on stage, if you will. Because mainly a lot of these scenes are two couples going at it. So 4 people. Ryan made the fifth cast member on set, and it added to a really creepy and unsettling vibe, something that I didn't think that we were capable of, or I was going for more fluid, steady, kind of Shining-esque symmetry and steady-handedness. And with Ryan's handheld work, it gave more of a gritty, nerve-wracking, anxiety-ridden or like laden feeling, which I think you can feel it start to ratchet up by scene 60 or so. You're just like, we give away that everyone dies within the first 30 minutes, right? But then you keep seeing faces show up, and you forget that no, they're already dead, but I care about them and we're still following them. And it was really big for us to create that kind of shepherd's tone, if you will, the thing that just keeps going up, 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 ratcheting up the tension. And the handheld work was a big part of that, and the acting.
Yeah, no, it definitely was unsettling at many points. And I thought the funniest thing is you mentioned that, and we're going to get back to the cinematography a little later too, but about the couples and everything. It's so funny, and I hope this might not be too much of a spoiler. If it is, if you feel that way, we'll have Tim cut it out. But I thought the one couple, I mean, most almost all the couples in this movie were dysfunctional, except the one couple that you would like expect to be dysfunctional, but they were the most put together at some levels as relationship wise. Maybe not all together there mentally, but really. And I thought that was such a cool thing. I'm like, oh my God, you know what? If you're going to judge this on relationship, they have the best one by far. Everyone else has got a whole other issue.
One tiny little spat.
Yeah, that's. I mean, what does it? I mean, if you're married, those one little spats are always around. But but I thought that was just a fantastic little touch to it. That it's like you even it's like if you're looking at it just purely as a couple, how are they doing kind of thing. that one couple, which who I'm talking about, actually was probably the best for each other. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, Travis, you talked about the cinematography, and we had a question in here about the cinematography, so I'm glad you touched on it. But that was one of the things I immediately noticed. I thought it was beautifully shot. Like, I noticed that immediately. In fact, the first thing I texted Brian after we had seen the film, I said, "Man, this movie is like really beautifully shot." Like, we watch a lot of indie films, and not a lot of them are beautifully shot. Let's be honest. But this one looked amazing. So kudos for that.
I lucked out with Ryan because, like I said, I was trying to shoot it on a jib and just have Ryan light it. But Ryan's also a director in his own right, and so he and a fabulous operator. I didn't mean to stick this like 35-pound camera on his shoulder. I had promised him, like, come out and shoot this. You will not break. I will not break your back. And when the jib didn't fit, and we had a Ronin stabilizer that just was kaput, he was just like, screw it, man. I'll go handheld. And it rendered us some really arresting images.
That's cool.
Yeah, I really like the handheld stuff.
Yeah, no, that was good. I hope the chainsaws, when they come around, they remember that his work on that for you. I mean, a lot of the work that was done on this film was really great, but I'm saying, like, hope he's remembered.
Brian says, I asked about the cinematography. I'll let you take the cast question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so of course, any movie is going to need a good cast. And this one, I thought the cast was phenomenal. I think everyone who whatever role they were supposed to be. I think they nailed it. I mean, from the one character that's the social media influencer, and you see that a lot in movies. But like, I've seen it where it's like they try and force it. I thought she was like did it so naturally. And of course, I'm apologize for if I don't get the names right, but of course the couple, I believe it was
That was Alicia Soper who plays
yes, yeah.
Sam.
And then the I think it's is it Richard? No,
Tim Simic plays Richard, and his real life wife Roseanne Lamaris plays. I was going to call her Lucy, but her name is Liz.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I mean, just from like every role in there was like I felt like it was like it was like cast so perfectly to what needed to be done. I mean, they were creepy. You know?
I had given, and I have a question for Jonathan, which is I had given Jonathan my idea for the cast, and a lot of these guys they're either friends or part of an improv troupe that I'm also a part of. And like Tim and Rosie, who play the older couple, Tim is the director of an improv group that I'm a part of. Rosie's a member of the group, and Laura Buckles, who plays Officer Blake, she's in the group as well. Alicia, we got she was friends with Carrie, who's played by Ali Trasher. Eddie Acosta is an assistant editor and one of my closest friends. Let's see. I had seen Gabriel Greer, who plays Dwayne. I had seen him at Slam Dance, met him there, always wanted to work with him.
He looked familiar to me. I couldn't place where I might have seen him before, but he looked really familiar.
He was in a Wendy McComb film called Birds Without Feathers, and I was blown away by that. Patrick Reiger, who plays Officer Bobby, opposite Officer Blake, Laura Buckles. We met him while scouting locations for the film. He owns a cabin in Crestline, California, and it didn't fit for our purposes. We chose to move the story out to the desert because I had this ranch, but I liked Patrick's vibe and got along with him right away. And so I was like, I've got to cast you in this. And I gave these headshots to John, and then John just started like crafting these. And John knew some of these characters in real life as well. So he knew their strengths and he knew kind of their tics, mannerisms, nuances, and was able to kind of elevate and kind of personify them. With my question to you, Jonathan, is how did you come up with the social media influencer character?
Oh gosh, you always ask me these great questions, but I don't remember shit, man. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm glad we did. I don't know.
I think was it maybe because the house looks like some place like an Instagram or social media influencer would visit or rent, and then when you get out there it's like, wait, this isn't Joshua Tree, this is 29 Palms, you know what I mean? You just kind of go down like that and you're like, but it looks nice and postmodern and kind of has that, you know, really 50s palm string desert yay vibe, but outside it's just like there's coyotes, there's snakes, there's like aggressive roadrunners that are that I didn't know that they're carnivores. I didn't know that roadrunners are carnivores, so I was scared for my dog's life.
Wow.
Boy, you figure that coyote should have definitely had worse things happen to him than in the cartoons. I don't know.
By the way, coyotes are faster than roadrunners. True story. And the way that roadrunners kill snakes is they take their talons, grab the snake by the head, and just repeatedly bash its head in over a rock, and then eat the meat. Like,
oh my god,
these are my friends that lived in the front.
Podcast to hear that.
Yeah.
We were lied to by Warner Brothers.
Yeah. So real quick, as a follow up to that, Jonathan, like, was there any dialogue that got ad libbed, or did you write all that dialogue? Because Richard and Liz's dialogue, some of the dialogue they were like so incredible, and I'm just like, you know, they go on these little like little diatribes, and I'm just like, wow, that's really good, but it seems so natural. I was like, did they ad lib this, or was that actually written that way?
I mean, I wrote the script, and I sort of had, and Travis has helped me sort of massage this down, but I sort of wrote a little like Howard Hawks. It was very, it sounded like it was written. And so we did rehearsals with the cast, and we would, you know, we could all hear like, this dialogue is stilted, this is fake. So we started crafting the dialogue to match their characters. And then on set, then Travis and or the actors they would improvise here and there and add stuff here and there. Yeah, for sure.
But
That's
just
really
to
Just
hop
kind of
in
went
on
with
that, I would say
whatever was
that
best.
I would say that the script was, or the film is probably 95% of what the script was. And I was working with a lot of improv actors, and I knew that we had to shoot this quick and fast. So that's why I was leaning into experienced improv actors who can think quick on their feet. But everyone loved the script so much, they wanted to honor, John's voice and kind of the story. And so that was really important that they got it right, that they challenged and put John to task when something might have been a little bumpy or illogical. And I remember that there was a moment, and this is not a spoiler alert, but there's this moment, the showdown between Richard and Dwayne, and it just wasn't edgy enough for me. And Jonathan, I gave him some notes, and he did his homework, and he came back and he was like, all right, I got the line. You're not going to challenge this. It's the line, and it's for you, buddy. And it's my favorite line in the film, and it's the one that grosses everyone out. And so I feel like I'm the adoptive parent of that line. I didn't create it, but I love it.
Nice.
No, you always pushed things to be better, and the cast did too, and it was all of the notes were great, almost all of them.
It was all from a place of love. We were a tight little group of bandits. Like, we were all stuck in this pandemic. It was nice to be out and about, even though it was 29 Palms. No hate on 29 Palms, but it's very isolated and rustic.
Yeah, 29 Palms gonna give us some hate mail, aren't they?
No, I love that. I love 29 Palms. It's a fun little. It's unearthed. It's undiscovered. It's not blown up like Joshua Tree, but like, we were just all happy to be out there because we were living again. We were doing what we all love to do. And there was this sense of urgency and appreciation and gratefulness that we all wanted to, like I said, I put my house on the line for this. So we all approached it with professionalism and with, intense focus. And it was a fun time, though. There was a lot of wonderful memories and moments from that, even though it was hurried and even though it was hot and it was long days. Everyone kind of just brought their A game. Not to sound trite, but I owe everything to that cast and crew.
It looks like it would be a fun group to film a movie with, though.
They were, for sure. We had a lot of fun. It was miserable as well, but
That's awesome.
So I don't want to again, we're dancing around spoilers here, but
just do it, man. Just do it.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about
it. Well, this one might be this one. I know why Tim's saying that, prefacing.
Yeah, this one is because there's a little tease at the end of the film that we could be seeing more of this story. So, is there anything you could tell us about that, or is it too early to say?
John started off, and I'll finish it.
All right.
Well, yeah, there is. There's been an additional script written. It's called 8 More Dead. It goes back 30 years. We meet Liz, hot 20-something, pulling the strings, dragging Richard along, and similar, but everything we learned on this first one, we just do it bigger, better, sexier, fun.
Nice. You got like a Pearl X thing going. I like it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
It was there initially, like, as a goof for me to kind of like, hey, John, what do you think about this? Want to do another one or dangle a carrot to see? And it was all based off of the original ending to Friday the 13th, of just like, surprise, just when you thought it was over, here's another. Because we were a little sad to say goodbye to the characters that die at the end, and we wanted to know, where they were 30 years ago. And that probably gave everything away right there. But
well, we didn't say who. Well, like he I guess Jonathan gave a name, but
it's Patty, the diner waitress.
Yeah, there you go.
We go back
there.
You
go.
I've seen a lot, right? She's like a character actress, isn't she? I've seen her in a lot of things.
She's a pretty big deal. I love Nancy Linehan Charles. She's on Young Sheldon. She was
yes, that's I remember seeing her. Yeah. Okay.
Reports, Charlie Wilson's War. She was in a music video for Campfire Cassettes, which is Jonathan's band.
She's great.
That's how we got to work with her.
Yeah, she helped me do my little acting part in there. She was really fun to act with.
That's cool. So of course now we want to let you kind of give you a chance to like tell our listeners kind of give the final push and promo on this and where they can find it. I believe it comes out next week from when this drops, but let you guys kind of give another final pitch and sell for this.
Hey, thanks for listening and thanks for having us, man. I just want to say that we open in Los Angeles, Glendale, Limley, September 8th. We also are in Columbus, Ohio at the Gateway Film Center the same day. It's running for a week in both cities. One night only in Albuquerque, New Mexico at the Guild Theater. I believe that date, September 8th, it also is available via VOD through Dark Sky Films. Shout out to them. Very grateful to be with that wonderful production company.
Yeah, they've done a lot. We've had a lot of Dark Sky Films on here. We've loved every one of them. So they know how to pick them.
They know how to do it. Yeah, and we were fans before. Like we kind of, I don't want to say we went after them, but we reached out to them and said, we think that you might like this because we love your movies. And they're like, you know what, we get it. And they have been amazing in this process. And we're playing Grimfest in the UK on October 8th.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
Jonathan, did I leave anything out?
Albuquerque is September 9th. It's the Saturday. But otherwise, yeah. You can pre-order it right now on Apple TV, and it'll be up for VOD everywhere on the 8th.
Physical release, we're getting one of those too in October.
I was just gonna ask you because I'm a big Blu-ray collector
right there.
Yeah, I'm a big Blu-ray DVD collector. I'm like, that was the next thing I was gonna ask you. I said, please tell me there's gonna be a Blu-ray because I definitely want to add this one to my collection. So
I hate to let you down. I don't think it's a Blu-ray, it's just a DVD, but the jewel case is beautiful and the disc is gorgeous. It's pink.
I'm just used to saying Blu-ray, but when I mean physical media, I'm fine with. I have plenty of movies I buy on DVD if I love the movie, and this one is no exception. I will definitely.
It's just really awesome to get something like that in this day and age, and a limited theatrical release, or a select cities. I like to say, not a limited. I don't want to limit anything.
Yeah, I hope it comes. I hope maybe it'll appear because they tend to have some in the Bay Area here. They tend to have a lot of the movies like that there aren't like huge releases but still are get a couple of things. So I'm hoping it'll appear around here because I'd love to see it on the big screen with an audience. So
I've seen it twice with an audience and I forget that I was a part of the film. Like I get consumed and kind of like sucked in, and then the audience hits at the right parts. They laugh and squirm at the right parts, and it's really fun and exciting to watch it with a live audience.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait till this is actually released and Tim and I can give it a little more in depth about it. Because it was like right away when I saw it, we have a couple of group feeds with our friends and everything, and I couldn't tell them anything about it. I'm like, oh my God, because I could tell Tim in there. I'm like, Tim, you got to watch this. And I told everyone else, I was like, when this comes out, rent it. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, that's the worst part of getting like early screeners and stuff. We get these wonderful movies that we can't talk about, so we Ryan and I just have to text back and forth all day to each other. But...
Yeah, we're like, oh my God, this is so good. I can't wait to. And we especially love the fact too. So thank you guys for coming on because
yes,
we
absolutely.
love to talk to the filmmakers and the creators of something that, especially one that we love like this, because we're like, the first thing is like, as we were watching it, I'm like, all right, we got to ask about this. We got to ask about that. We got to ask about that. So
you're the guys we made it for, man. Like I said, I'm a fan of the film. I lose myself in it and forget the outcome. And so it has a lot of rewatchability.
Well, if you guys, if we end up seeing more of this story, please, you have an open invitation to come back on and promote that as well, because we really appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you. Awesome. 8 more dead, hopefully coming soon.
Yes. Oh yeah, I can't wait. I really hope it comes to fruition because
I want to keep I want to just keep dropping 8 more dead people on us. Make this a full-on franchise. We're in. Trust me.
I want 8 more dead part 8.
Yeah,
we're gonna try.
2 8 2 dead, or something like that.
We'll figure something out.
I haven't thought of a title for the third one, but we could workshop it here if you want.
Hey, throw some ideas off us. We're good. I'm an idea person. I can't. That's where it usually stops. They come up with a great idea. I don't have to drive to do anything about it, but I can come up with good names. And Tim and I are good pun masters, so we'll probably come up with something nice and subtle for you too.
I'll leave you with this last thing, which was initially it was called Found Dead, and John had added about 10 characters, and I was like, well, what is Found Dead? Like, that's cool, but is there anything else to it? And he's like, well, like 4 or 5 found dead, like a Yahoo News article that you would come across, like just ripped from the headlines. And I was like, that's awesome. Can we just put a numeric value in the title and it'll leave you guessing? Because, it's what we hang our hat on, not who done it, but who survives.
Right. I like that because too, it's you kind of flat out like, I mean, just by that title alone, you say, okay, there's going to be some people dying in this. So it's like the eventual, is no surprise, but the ride to get there is still so fun, even though you know what's going to happen,
We didn't say they were humans. It's not 8 humans found.
That's true. That is true. It didn't say.
Go.
Could have been those crazy roadrunners or whatever you say.
Aliens. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, maybe you could pitch it to Pixar or something, like have like the like a cartoon roadrunners like version of it.
Again, guys, appreciate it, and we will be telling all of our listeners
yes
to go check this out as soon as it's released. And I wish you guys the best of success.
Thanks for having us, you guys.
Great.
Appreciate
Hey,
it.